From fake prison releases to staged suicides and bogus disaster alerts, some April Fool's pranks go way beyond a simple joke. Today we're diving into some of the wildest pranks that crossed the line and had serious consequences. So without further ado, let's get right into it. In 2016, Google decided to add some fun to Gmail for April Fool's Day with a feature called Mic Drop. The concept was simple. Users could end an email conversation by inserting a GIF of a minion dropping a mic, blocking the contact and preventing him from further messages. However, there was a major flaw. The mic drop button was placed right next to the send button, which led to a series of accidental clicks. Professionals hit the button in serious business conversations, causing major disruptions. Emails were blocked, deals were jeopardized, and some relationships were left hanging. Google quickly rolled back on the feature, but the damage to the business communications had already been done. While no one filed a lawsuit, it was clear that the joke didn't land as intended. Speaking of disasters in communication, some pranks took things to an even more chaotic level. In 1999, a prank on an Oregon radio station had serious consequences. DJs at the KSJJ station broadcasted a false report stating that the Ochoco Dam had burst, threatening to flood downstream areas. Given that the area had experienced a real flood in the year before, many listeners took the warning seriously. Some rushed to evacuate their homes in panic. But once the DJs realized how much chaos they've caused, they sheepishly revealed that it all had been a joke. Unfortunately, the damage had already been done. A similar prank was pulled by DJs at WNOR radio station in 1992, who falsely reported an imminent explosion at a landfill in Virginia Beach, leading to mass evacuations. Both pranks resulted in public outrage and professional fallout for the DJs involved. From fake disaster warnings to a prank that caused panic in a professional setting. In 2003, Citra Walker, a new employee at a clothing store in Columbus, Ohio, thought she'd have a little fun with her manager. She called him up and told him that armed robbers had just stormed the store. Panicked, her manager immediately called the police. Within minutes, 4 police cruisers arrived at the scene, only to be greeted by an embarrassing and unnecessary situation. Walker called to reveal that it all had been a joke, but by then it was too late. The police were not amused, and Walker was charged with inducing panic. To make matters worse, her manager fired her on the spot. From a prank that created chaos in a store to one that nearly caused a health crisis at work. Imagine you're on vacation, taking a much-needed break, when you suddenly receive an urgent memo from work. It's from colleagues, claiming that the major report that you've been working on is due much earlier than you thought, just 2 weeks away. That's exactly what happened to Glenn Howlett, an employee at London City Hall who received a memo with an early deadline. The only catch? It was sent on April 1st, and he had no idea it was a prank. Glenn rushed back from his vacation only to spiral into a frenzy of stress as he struggled to meet the new deadline. The pressure was so intense that it led him to collapsing with heart palpitations. When he realized the whole thing had been a joke, he was not amused. In fact, he went on to sue his employer, and the city passed a law banning pranks at work. Now let's shift to a prank that had global political ramifications. In 1996, Russian news agency IDR-TASS reported that the Russian parliament was considering reviving the Warsaw Pact. The idea of its revival sparked panic in nations like the Czech Republic and Bulgaria, who feared the return of the Soviet influence and military control. The report quickly spread across Eastern Europe, causing widespread anxiety. Hours later, Edermas admitted it was all an April Fool's joke. From international political tension to a prank that took a dark turn on a personal level. Randy Wood, clearly still bitter about his divorce, decided to prank his ex-wife in an incredibly dark way. He called her up and invited her to his house, saying that he had something to show her. When she arrived, she was horrified to find him hanging from a tree in his front yard, seemingly lifeless. Terrified, she called 911, and emergency responders rushed to the scene. But when they cut him down, they discovered that Randy was perfectly fine. He hadn't attempted suicide at all. He had just staged the scene using a harness. While he may have thought it was a clever joke, the authorities were less than amused. Randy was warned he could face a fine and even jail time for his prank. Finally, let's look at a prank that manipulated the emotions of entire families. Imagine getting the news that a loved one who's been imprisoned for years is finally being set free. Sounds like a dream come true, right? Well, for 60 people in Romania back in 2000, it turned into a nightmare. They read in the Opinia newspaper that their relatives would soon be released from Baia prison. Hopeful and excited, they packed their bags and traveled to the prison, eager to reunite. But when they arrived, they were greeted with the brutal reality. The announcement had been an April Fool's joke. The entire ordeal was a cruel prank, and the families were left heartbroken. The Opinia newspaper later published an apology. And that's a wrap on some of the craziest April Fool's pranks that went off the rails. Thanks for watching.